All right, guys, it's Matt Day with CLA. Today we're going to talk about our on-ball defense approach, some verbal cues to speak to our players while they're on the field, and when they apply, how to use them, things like that. Before we go into team defense, we need to focus on our approaches, what areas of the field we're going to force. But before we do that, we have to talk about on-ball defense at the individual level. So on the left, you'll see 4 terms in green: north, south, and then east and west as number 3. And then examples are in red of what this would be. So the way that I teach it is directions are in reference to the defender, but it's the action that the ball carrier is doing with their body weight. So when we start with north, north is defined as something that the offensive player is doing to get away from our defenseman. Maybe that's a square up. Maybe I was dodging and I've stepped back to square you up so I can make another dodge in either direction. Maybe that's a hesitation. Or a bounce, I got you going this way down the alley and I raise up so I can continue going. When they go north, that's when we want to take our opportunity to throw our hands. Anytime that they give us space by stepping back, we as the defenseman need to use all 6 feet of the stick, get it back in front of us, throw a chop on the bottom hand, throw a poke to the midsection. Don't allow them to just stand up uncontested with 6 feet of space in between you. We got to coach that we get the stick back in front. So just to kind of personify that, if this guy was, let's say he went here and dodged and we stuck with him, but then he stepped back in that direction and that defenseman beat him to the spot, but he stepped back, we can't allow that offensive player to have that much separation without the stick back in front. So that's why we coach, anytime they go north, you get the stick back in front with a poke check or a chop to the gloves, okay? Second on the list is south. We want to absorb contact. This is a big one for me. That could be defined as any time that ball carrier is putting their weight towards the defenseman, right? That might be a bull dodge where I'm getting straight downhill trying to body him. That might be coming around from X in this direction. As we climb higher and higher and higher, if he starts getting his weight into the defenseman here and posting up or climbing, we want to absorb that contact. I want to point out that the word absorb contact is very, very important because a lot of times we teach our guys to body up. We're saying jam the hips, drive the hips, right? But what we're not focusing on is absorbing versus creating contact. If I'm guarding someone here and he's leaning into me, and I'm blowing it up like this, every time I jam, I'm going to create more and more space. And now as the offensive player, I'm just waiting for the guy to show me leverage here or here. If I jam him up here, he's timing it to roll underneath. If I'm jamming in this direction, he's waiting for it so he can rock or step and shoot over the top. So if we absorb contact, we never give him that space, that opportunity to do something else. So that's why I always coach it as absorb. Running our feet, if they're giving 50% effort on the offensive side, I'm matching that with 50% force so I stand still as opposed to lunging and creating this massive contact where now I'm giving him leverage, giving him more space. The third thing on the list would be east-west. Example of these would be sweeps and rollbacks. And alleys I have in that category just because of the way they behave, not necessarily of only direction. So good example, we don't allow sweeps ever, but they're going to happen at some point. So let's say we were on the ball here. We did a good job shading, but he got over the top like this. That's an east-west. We're going side to side. Our job now is to angle and bump the guy off his route as much as possible. So as we fast forward a little bit, and this ball carrier is now here with a little bit of a step on this defenseman, his job is to get that inside his top foot on their back foot and eventually bump him off the route, because any 1 foot that I can get him to go that direction, he's losing his angle as we go here. Now, as I force him down the alley. Now, as I get him down the alley, we all know that by the time he gets about here, he's lost his opportunity to shoot with maximum angle. So now he's trying to do something else, which is probably going to be a step out and square up, which is go north, which we throw our hands. He may lean in and go south, or he may go east-west, I guess, and try and roll back over the top. But the way way that we need to coach this is it's never going to be just a north dodge, never just going to be a south or an east-west dodge. What it's going to be is when somebody goes north, I throw my hands. Now I'm expecting him to do one of the two things, okay? If he's leaning into me and I absorb the contact, as a defenseman, now we're coaching to think, what do I do if he's going east-west and north-south? So it's becoming reactionary. So those are our verbal cues to just very lightly cover what we should do in each situation, and I'll be hammering those in our positional trainings, but north, south, east, and west gives them a verbal cue. North means throw my hands, south means absorb the contact, east and west means angle and bump off. So if we instill that in our players, what to do in certain situations, then we teach them how to decide, is this an east-west, is this a north, is this a south, etc. So we're going to build on those on-ball principles. This is a simplification, of course. There's more complex dodges than that. But just to kind of give us an intro of how we're going to be coaching on-ball defense. So players and coaches should be encouraged to follow this. And you'll see it work wonders for guys. Once it clicks for them, they'll be playing chess, not checkers. So that's on-ball defense. Our next video will be going into what areas of the field we want to force. And after that, we'll go into some schemes.